Myself, Dhiraj Mondal, a retired assistant professor and associate NCC officer, JIS College of Engineering and 2/49 Battalion Bengal, NCC Kolani. Currently, I am a mutual fund distributor and serving my clients, and also founder Dipanti Wealth Management. Hi, I welcome to all of you to this session of PMS Distributor series. You know, we were discussing about the NISM series 21A PMS Distributor series. So, if you want to become a PMS distributor, then this video is relevant for you. Today's lecture will be on estimating the required rate of return. So basically, investment is the commitment of rupee for a period of time to earn pure time value of money for investors postpone their current consumption, and B, compensation for expected inflation during the period of investment for the change in the general price level, and C, risk premium for the uncertainty of future payments. So when an investor invests today by minimizing their current consumption, this can be categorized by three parts: the pure time value of money for investors postpone their current consumption, or compensation for expected inflation during the period of investment for the change in the general price level, and risk premium for the uncertainty in future payment. Either this money will compound at a certain rate of return, and the investor who needs this money after 5-10 years, if they are putting that money in the saving account, then inflation may hamper the cost of the capital. So that is why we need to require the rate of return what we will get after a certain period of time. Otherwise, inflation will consume your hard-earned money. Suppose you have invested 100 rupees today in a equity fund, and it has given the 12-point-something% return. Then after 6 years, this money will be doubled. But if you have invested in, or if you have kept the money in the saving account, then it will give you 3% return. So you know inflation is 5-6%. So automatically your money will be reduced after a certain period of time. So that is why investment is very important for everyone. See what happened. The price paid for the exchange between current and future consumption is the pure rate of interest. If an investor postponed consumption worth 1000 rupees today for a guaranteed future consumption worth 1020 rupees, then the pure rate of interest in this exchange is 2%. That means your 100 rupees will become 102 rupees. So what you have got, pure rate of interest is 2%. It is the rate of return the investor demands even if there is no inflation and no uncertainty associated with future payments. In reality, prices level rarely remains the same. Hence, if the investor expects a rise in the price level, they will require an additional return to compensate for it. Further, if there is a risk associated with future payment, investor will demand compensation for bearing the risk. So this is how this investment happens. If the investor expect a rise in the price level, they will require an additional return to compensate for it. But if there is a risk associated with future payment, investor will demand compensation for bearing the risk. The compensation for postponement of consumption is the pure time value of money. It is referred as real risk-free rate. Real risk-free rate return, a rate when adjusted for inflation expectation, is referred as nominal risk-free rate. The nominal risk-free rate plus risk premium is required rate of return. We'll see in the next slide also. Required rate of the return in the minimum rate of return investors expect when making investment decision. And it is to be noted that required rate of return is not guaranteed return or assured return. It is also different from expected or forecasted return. It is also different from realized return. So this is all about the estimating the required rate of return. But let us discuss about the nominal risk-free rate, real risk-free rate, and expected inflation. We should not forget the inflation associated with the investment. The notion that money has time value is a fundamental concept in investment. It is the central theme in calculating the rate of return. It is better to receive a sum of money today than to receive the same sum tomorrow, because it can be invested and earn returns. So suppose you are getting some money from someone today, so it is better to get that particular money after few years, after 1 or 2 years, because if you are investing that money, you will earn return from it. So very important point, time value of money. Investors can invest in investment opportunities like risk-free bonds, where they are promised to receive an amount more than the amount they have invested. If you are investing a risk-free bond, then a guaranteed return you will be getting from that invested product. For example, if an investor invests 100 rupees today at a risk-free rate of 5% per year, the value of the investment at the end of the year will be 100 plus 5% of 100 is your 5, so 105 rupees is the capital appreciation. So thus 105 is the future value of this current investment. 1 year from now you will get 105 rupees if you have invested the capital, your capital, in risk-free bond fund or some in the bond market you have invested your capital. The value today is its present value. So whatever the value right now, 100 is your present value, that is rupees 100. And conversely, if an investor is certain of receiving rupees 105 1 year from today, then its present value can be calculated as 105 divided by 1 plus 5%, that is 100. These calculations substantiate an old age saying that a dollar today is worth more than the dollar tomorrow. The certainty of receiving the amount in future makes it a risk-free investment, and the rate of return on the same is called risk-free rate. In this case, it is 5%. As the bond market giving you 5% return, so here it is 5% risk-free return. The risk-free rate is also referred as nominal rate of return. As can be seen, it ignores the potential change in the purchasing power of rupees. That is, though the investor is certain of receiving rupees 105 after 1 year, there is no guarantee that rupee will have the same purchasing power a year from now that it has today. From the nominal rate, inflation rate can be subtracted to calculate the real rate of return. Hence, nominal rate of return can be decomposed into real rate of return and inflation rate. The real risk-free rate is the basic rate of return or interest rate assuming no inflation and no uncertainty about future cash flow. It is the compensation paid for postponing the consumption. For example, an investor gives rupees 100 today for more than rupees 100, say rupees 102 1 year from today. This is a risk-free investment and real risk-free rate of interest is 2%, that is 102 by 100 minus 1. So the desire for current consumption influences this rate. The desire for current consumption is influenced by the investment opportunities available in the economy. The availability of investment opportunities is determined by the real growth rate of return, rate of the economy. Hence, the real risk-free rate is determined by an interaction between subject factors like the desire for consumption and objective factors like the available investment opportunities and the growth rate of economy. As noted above, if investors expect the price level to rise during the period of investment, they would require a compensation for the expected rate of inflation. Continuing with the above example, what if the price level in the economy increased by 6%? Let us see. In such situation, the investors should increase the required rate of return by the expected rate of inflation. If they do so, then they would be losing money in the real sense rather than getting a real rate of return. So to maintain a consumption of rupees 102, the interest earned must be 8.12%. How? We will see from the formula. The required nominal rate of return, that is NRR, would be as follows. You can see here, nominal rate of return is equal to 1 plus real rate of return into 1 plus expected rate of inflation minus 1. Means your real rate of return 2% and inflation 6%. So from this multiplication, if I am deducting 1, then you will be getting nominal rate of return. So nominal rate of return is equal to 8%. That means if someone taking some money, rupees 102 from you today, and after 1 year, if he or she is giving back the money 102 rupees, then you are losing money actually. Thus, rupees 8.12% rate of return is required in place of 2%. This rate of interest comprising real rate of return plus compensation for inflation compensation is called the nominal rate of return. It is also considered as the nominal risk-free rate of return. So, if your invested capital is 200 rupees right today, it should be appreciated at least from inflation adjusted return. Otherwise, you are losing your money. So always you should calculate this one. real rate of return and expected inflation, multiply it -1, you will be getting your nominal rate of return. I hope it is clear. Next, let us discuss about the risk premium. As discussed above, the nominal risk-free rate of return is the rate of return an investor is certain of receiving on the due date. So here it is telling that the nominal risk-free return is what? The nominal risk-free rate of return is the rate of return an investor is certain of receiving on the due date. Investor is certain of the amount as well as the timing of the return, hence it is the risk-free rate of return. Some investment opportunities such as government securities with some caveats fit this pattern. The return from most of the investment opportunities do not have certainty of the amount and the timing of cash flow. Further, the uncertainty of receiving the future cash flow vary amongst investment. In such cases, investors would require compensation for the uncertainty associated with future cash flow. This additional compensation over the nominal risk-free rate is called risk premium. So this additional compensation over the nominal risk-free rate is called risk premium. If investors perceive higher risk, more uncertainty with respect to the future payment, they would demand higher risk premium. So this is all about the risk premium. Now let us discuss about the types of risk. What are the different types of risk? Let us discuss. This part will be discussed in the next class, types of risk. Today up to this, thank you. If it is added some value in your life, then don't forget to subscribe my channel Dheeraj Mondal and share it with your friends, family, and press the bell icon to get everyday notification. Thank you.